have a lot of stories about Amigo since he and I did a lot of things together. We were the odd couple sometimes. Amigo was a hippie and I was Mr. GQ. Somebody said that one time and I says, no, that's not true. And Amigo says, no, it is true. So I just went along with it and kept my hair a little short. But I, at one time in the late 60s, had long hair. And I didn't meet Amigo yet, and he didn't meet me, but I was still in college. Got home from college. That's the story how we met each other. So we had 8 years of Ronald Reagan as the governor of California, and then we went from Ronald Reagan to Jerry Brown. And so when Jerry Brown was in there, I knew Jerry Brown from the old days of the United Farm Workers, and he wanted to actually talk to a farmer to see if all this stuff was true. And I said, yeah, Jerry, well, you have a different viewpoint, obviously, and that's fine. And anyway, so he called me up one time. He says, look, we're going to have all the farm advisors. We're going to have all the state university people that are involved in agriculture and stuff. They're going to be in this room. I want you to come and see what you think about what they have to say. So this was 1974. And so this was up in Sacramento at one of the big auditoriums, and there's 400 people there. And so somebody'd get up and they'd say something because Jerry Brown had on his list, they couldn't say the word organic because that was like the Antichrist. And they could only say sustainable, okay? And we were going, well, what the hell's that? Why don't they just say organic, you know? And what do we all... is there an argument here or something? And we were just like perplexed. Well, anyway, Migo was on that side of the room, about even with me, and I was on the left side of the room, even. So these guys would get up there, and here'd be Amigo and say, well, why aren't you funding anything organic? And of course, they didn't have any answer. They couldn't say anything. And they said, well, organic, we'll all starve to death. You know, that was the famous answer. We will starve to death. And I go like, wow, that's really good. I'm going to starve to death. So I'm on the other side, and I'm saying, yeah, I just started farming. I didn't even know I was farming organic, but I wasn't using any chemicals anymore because I was using organic farming techniques. And so by default, all of a sudden I wasn't spraying anymore. And by default, I didn't have fungal problems. And by default, my yield went up. And by default, everything got better, unlike when they tell you when you change to organic farming, your yields fall and your quality farms, and it looks like shit in the marketplace. And I go, really? That's not what happened to me. So then, at the end of this conference, or when the guys got done speaking, and we really tore the place apart. It was Amigo, Steve, Amigo, and nobody else was asking questions. And finally the guy took the microphone and said, that's all the questions we have now. And it's a classic thing, you know, when it gets uncomfortable for the university, they always, let's stop the questions. So at the end of the deal, I got to go find this guy. So I'm going up the left side, Migo's going up the right side, and we both meet at the podium right in the center. I'm sorry. It was an instant brotherhood and friendship that lasted our lifetime and Amigo's lifetime. We did a lot of things together. We went to Egypt, we went to Peru, Nikki Scully's little trip thing that she had, we went to Italy. You know, there was a time when we didn't know anything, and Amigo would always say, well, you know, Steve, I taught you everything that you know. And then I would have to counter back, excuse me, Amigo, I taught you everything that you needed to know. And so we would go back and forth like that. That's the kind of relationship we had. And Amigo would call me up sometimes at 11 o'clock at night. Hey, what do you think of this guy? It's a farm advisor down there in Kern County. He's whacked out. I said, oh no, he's been whacked out a long time. Okay. He hated organic and, blah, blah, blah. And so we were always going through these kinds of conversations. Of course, the Eco Conference was a really good thing that became established and became, something that was done. And anyway, so as we went along, there were a few of the university people that says, we need to put Steve and Amigo on a committee to review grant proposals for sustainable agriculture. And so this program was called LISA, and I think it was like $3 or $4 million that they were handing out in grants. So Amigo said, hey, did you get on it? We're on this, man. We get to review it. We get to say what, we could grant this money to organic and some good programs. Anyway, so we meet at the thing, and they send us this big, thick book of all the proposals. And so Amigo calls me, he says, so what do you think? He says, I think there's one proposal out of 284 that I think barely I would consider to give 1 penny to. And I says, what do you think, Amigo? He says, 0 that I'd give 1 penny to. So we show up there, and then of course they had all the university people there, and they were going, why are you so against this? I says, there's nothing out of these proposals that's really about organic farming and applied technology and learning how the basics and how to write a program, a fertilizer program, where does compost fit, and how about these cover crops and this and that. The world's going to starve to death. It's going to starve to death. Organic farming will be the instigator of starvation. I mean, this is the way they talk to us in the early days. And so Amigo, well, like I said, we became instant friends. We'd talk sometimes, since he taught me everything. We'd talk sometimes on the phone, going back and forth. What did you hear about this guy back east? And wow, this guy's whacked out. He's got this radionics unit. You ever hear about that thing? I says, yeah, I heard about it. We got to go find this guy. Or a guy like Kerry Reams, and we had the radionics people. We had a bunch of people that had these really obscure, out of the box, totally in left field technology that was beyond just composting and cover cropping. And so that's when Amigo and I finally says, well, you know what? The Midwest has some more stuff going on than the wacky hippies here on the West Coast. He says, I'm sure. He says, I can't believe it. So we searched all of these guys down, and, it was energy fields, and I mean, we had so many people that we had a fun time with. And that was the unique thing about Amigo. He never said anything was too crazy to go ahead and think about and do, as long as it made sense, and it actually proved out to be real. So that was my relationship with Amigo. Our whole life was just that kind, and we were brothers. We loved each other like brothers. And we went to the Oregon Country Fair one time, because Amigo picked out this shirt for me, okay? He says, you got to look a little more hippie-ish, I said, hippie-ish? Was that like, bourgeois hippie, or what does that mean? He said, no, you need to look a little more hippie-ish. So we go to the costume section at the Oregon Country Fair, and if anybody's ever been to the Oregon Country Fair, you go to the costume section, and you go like, wow, what do you want to dress up as, Amigo? And he was going down the thing. He says, wow, look at this here. It's a beautiful woman's dress. And I said, Amigo, that's a woman's dress. I said, you're not going to dress up like a woman. He says, no, you and me are going to dress up in drag. And I said, you and me are going to dress up in drag. I have a picture, and I apologize so much, but I'm making a poster of some of Amigos and me, our little ventures, and we have one of looking at each other in drag, but he had a wig. Of course, I couldn't explain his dreadlocks on his beard. Me, I look like a woman, and I was sitting here going like, this is scary looking at this thing here, and and he was like, hitting on me. And I was going, Amigo, just cut it out, okay? That may have been a past lifetime. It's not this lifetime, okay? Anyway, I love you, brother. I will always love you. I know he's on the other side. He's having a good laugh here today, by the way, because a lot of you people had more laughs with Amigo than probably a lot of people that you've ever known. And always, Amigo was always, pushing you forward. And like I said, my relationship with Amigo was one that was bonded that first time that we met with each other. And, when I saw him when he was in his last days, I says, wow, Amigo, we talked for 3-4 hours and talking about the very things I'm talking to you about. And and he knew that it was time. Kalita and Jen were such a important part in the health and wealth and being of Amigo moving forward in a lot of ways. And I really want to thank both of them, because I knew both of them. I still know both of them. And I want to thank them for everything that they've done. And we all stayed kind of close. And like I said, Amigo's spirit will never go away. He's not here physically, but he's here in spirit. And that's how my communique with him is. I thought when he first checked to the other side, that was it. I won't be able to talk to him again. No, we talk. And then you can say that you're crazy. No, I'm not. We talk. And I love you, Amigo. I'm never going to forget you. And I'll be on the other side one of these days, and we can meet up again. Thank you.
I'm just going to suggest that you introduce yourself at the beginning. And that was Stephen Pavich, who is an amazing grape farmer and was this large acreage, 4,000 acres, grape farmer that came into our organization, and one of the first big farmers that really helped us find our way and say, hey, we exist, we are real, we are not just backyard hippies. And so he really helped our movement. So anyway, thank you, Stephen. And please introduce yourselves. Thanks.